Between these boots lies over 3/4 of a century of fine boot making. What you just saw was one of Justin's first customers back in 1879. That was the year a youngster named H.J. Justin from Lafayette, Indiana, got off a freight wagon to Spanish Fort, Texas, carrying his cobbler's tools and with 25 cents in his pocket. The West he came to was really wild. The Dalton boys were still riding, Geronimo was planning his revenge, and Roy Bean sat in his saloon dealing out justice as he saw it. This was cowboy country. The cowboy was certainly a unique figure in history. He was rough and rugged, yet if he owned a good hat, a good saddle, and a good pair of boots, he owned the world. Well, young Justin made boots for the cowboy, and he made them better than anyone else ever had before. There's been little change in the cowboy boot since Justin's time. More colorful, perhaps, but it still serves the same purpose. The top is high to protect the leg in the saddle or on the ground. The heel is high and tapered for digging in when a cowboy bulldogs a steer. And the toe is so designed that the foot can slip quickly from the stirrup when necessary. H.J. Justin made his boots by hand, of course, with these tools. Today, over 3/4 of a century later, the Justin Company is still making boots. The same fine boots, but they make over 1,000 pairs a day. As in H.J. Justin's time, the best boots start with the best leather. From storerooms stocked with leather from all over the world, a particular color and type of leather is selected. Could be American calf, Australian kangaroo, perhaps even African ostrich. Next comes design. Justin's library holds some as old as 70 years. Precision dies cut the leather to proper shape on this cutting machine. Here, part of the top is being cut. Sometimes, according to design, entire boots are still hand cut. Here, the leather is soaked in a solution which makes it more pliable for crimping, a preliminary shaping in which a machine molds the wet leather under heat and pressure into the initial foot shape called the vamp. Vamps are then stretched over a wooden form, tacked, and left until dry. This is a hand process which is done today much as it was done 80 years ago. This operator stamps the design on the quarters, the front and back of the boot tops. The stitchers will follow this design. Zigzagging back and forth, stitching in and out, twisting, turning, the needle and thread stitch a rich pattern, which makes the cowboy boots so colorful. The vamp is carefully lined with a soft, smooth leather. While the upper heel is reinforced with a stiffer leather for proper support and fit. The boot begins to take shape when the vamp and counters are joined to the quarters. quarters are now ready to be joined by a thin strip of leather welting. For real comfort, good looks, and durability, boots are made inside out. Then they're turned. Pull straps are sewn and attached. Next, the boot is ready for lasting and soling. Although machines have effectively replaced many of the bootmaker's hand operations and increased production output, Justin believes there is no substitute for hand lasting, a job which requires a master craftsman. Today, as yesterday, every Justin boot is hand-lasted to ensure a perfect, wrinkle-free fit. The heels are completed, then the toes. Here, a hot compound fills the inner sole to insulate and cushion the foot. The outer sole is then positioned under pressure, rounded, stitched with a heavy gauge thread, trimmed, then pegged to ensure absolute bond and contour. Operation of this unusual machine gives the sole its final shape and smoothness. Heels are attached and trimmed. And both heels and soles are permanently dyed by burning the color into the leather. Removal of the wooden last concludes a manufacturing process of almost 500 steps. Each boot must pass a rigid inspection. The examiners are trained to recognize the slightest flaw, and only those boots which are perfect in material and workmanship are stamped with the Justin brand. Finally, the boots are safely packed on the patented Justin bootlegger and shipped all over the world. Many groups and individuals have brands, emblems, or designs custom made into their boots. The skilled craftsmen of the custom department execute almost any design in leather. Sheriff's posses, rodeo performers, ranchers want the quality and originality of a custom design. A custom design comes to life here. Sterling silver tips and heels on rodeo award boots. Justin also manufactures distinctive personal leather goods. Fancy hand tooling, contemporary colors and styles in handbags, billfolds, key cases, and belts. Justin boots, belts, and leather goods are now sold all over the world. Every day, thousands of people everywhere buy Justin products. The West has changed, but H.J. Justin's dream and the vision of the company he founded have remained the same. Justin is still making the best boots and always will. And it all started back in 1879 when Mr. Justin nailed up that sign.